Hi, I'm Ryan F. Gassing, and in this video I want to talk about where the future of space lies. Is it public or private? Now, in recent news, there's been a lot of talk about privatizing. We've seen what SpaceX has done with the Heavy rocket, and they soon will have the BFR, which will be an even bigger rocket. I've talked about that in one of my previous videos. But that doesn't mean that NASA hasn't been doing a lot either. Next year, they're going to be launching the James Webb Space Telescope, which is very exciting. It's going to be a replacement for the Hubble telescope, and it's going to be much larger. But beyond that, there really isn't much that NASA is doing. Their next rocket is basically a suit-up version of the Saturn V. But again, NASA doesn't have unlimited funds. It says it's going to visit Mars in 2030s. I'm skeptical about that, simply because of the nature of NASA's funding comes from Congress, and the interest in space exploration changes with every administration. So right now, Trump says he's interested in Mars. Who knows what the next administration's interest is going to be? They might want to go back to the moon. That's why I think, in my opinion, though while NASA is still necessary, they're the ones who have, they're the ones who got us this far. They got us to the moon, and they've done a lot of great work. But I think in the future, privatization is the way to go. Now, that doesn't mean that privatization is the greatest in everything. Private companies are driven by profit. A lot of them are mainly interested in putting more satellites in orbit, something that is very profitable. I think one area that is very exciting is when it comes to asteroid mining. I believe that is very profitable in the long term. That could very well create the first trillionaire in asteroid mining. And I also think it's necessary if we're going to continue progressing, because the resources on Earth are finite. There's a lot of metals underground, but a lot of it we just can't reach. And that might always be the case. But there's also visionaries like Elon Musk, who's determined to build a Mars colony. And that's something I don't think NASA's really interested in. They talk about manned missions, but manned missions is very different to colonizing Mars. And granted, it's going to take a long time to get there. But I think it's very important that we settle other planets, that we don't have all our eggs in one basket. And for that to happen, you're going to need innovation. And one of the problems NASA and other government space agencies struggle at is innovation. They tend to be more conservative, and that's understandable. Safety has to be important, but at the same time, risks also have to be taken, and NASA's just not comfortable with taking risks. So Elon Musk is very ambitious. He wants to get 1 million people on Mars in 50 years. His BFR is cutting-edge technology. It's something almost from out of science fiction. It's the closest thing we have to a space airliner at this point. And it still hasn't been built. It's currently under construction, and he says that he will begin testing of it next year, which is something I think everybody's waiting for. So I think at this point, while NASA has done a great job, it's time for private companies to step in, particularly those backed by billionaire visionaries like Elon Musk, who understands that if humanity is going to survive, we have to go to the stars. We have to colonize Mars, we have to colonize Venus, we have to colonize Europa and Titan, and all the other bodies that we could potentially put people on, and eventually we have to colonize other solar systems. And that's my 2 cents. Thank you for listening, and please help my channel by liking this video and subscribing. Oh, and visit my website at www.darknessinamerica.com to read my short stories about a future United States where people live in fear of inquisitors, telepathic assassins who police the populace for thought crimes.